Now, Ukraine's second largest city of Kharkiv, with a population of around 1.4 million, has been at the center of Russia's military aggression. According to the Ukrainian army, the situation deteriorated with Russian airborne troops landing in Kharkiv. They landed at around 3 a.m., leading to immediate clashes with the Russian forces. The Ukrainian army also said that Russian troops reportedly attacked a local hospital in the city. The roof of the main directorate of the National Police was also bombed. These developments come after the city came under heavy missile strikes on Tuesday. In the aftermath of the bombardment, of at least 21 people have been killed and 112 wounded in the shelling in the city in the last 24 hours. Now, Kharkiv residents helped emergency service workers to take dead bodies out of the damaged buildings. They were seen on the streets. Eyewitness videos showed wrecked residential buildings with no windows, fallen trees, fallen power lines. Now, the head of the local hospital said that many children were also injured. The hospital, which also serves as a bomb shelter, was damaged in the shockwave.
Вон попадание вот туда вот, завод. Взрывной волной вынесло все к чертовой матери. Вот все, что я могу сказать. Есть раненые, тяжело раненые. Из этих тяжело раненых есть двое детей, которых отвезли в больницу. Но персонал, местное население, общими усилиями мы все это сделали.
Missiles struck the very heart of the city in the Freedom Square, just outside the regional administration offices of Kharkiv. A video footage showed a missile hitting the local government building, then exploding, causing a massive fireball. At least 10 people were killed, 35 wounded in the strikes. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has accused Russia of war crimes for bombing the city.
Shelling into the central square is blatant, unconcealed terror. No one will forgive. No one will forget. The strike against Kharkiv is a war crime. This is state terrorism on the part of Russia. After this, Russia is obviously a terrorist state, and it must be official.
Now, on Tuesday, the head of Kharkiv said on Tuesday that the city's defense was holding despite Russia launching cruise missiles against the city. And in the city of Zhytomyr, located in northern Ukraine, 4 people were killed when residential buildings were hit by a Russian cruise missile, which reportedly was aimed at a nearby airbase. Now, for more on this, we're now being joined by WION a foreign policy expert from Romania. Thank you so much for joining us. The Russian invasion of Ukraine has sparked off a refugee crisis. What is your take on dealing of the influx of refugees in Romania?
Hello, thank you for having me. Well, so far it's been we've seen huge mobilization among civil society actors, government, private sector. It's been a huge logistic effort of the kind that Romania hasn't made before. We never had experience with any sort of massive refugee flow. But I think given the circumstances, it's surprising to what extent solidarity with Ukraine has translated into people offering their houses and their cars for transport, food, water, medicine. I think, you know, what we're seeing now is an extremely welcoming country that recognizes the tragedy that's happening next door.
Absolutely. Now, NATO is also bolstering security in the eastern flank. French troops arrived in Romania, as well as Belgium is set to deploy some 300 soldiers in Romania. What is your assessment?
For Romania, this is we think that what we're looking at is a deterioration of the regional security situation in the long run. We don't feel that we are directly targeted in any way by the Russian Federation being a part of NATO, and I think I've never heard so many people say what a blessing it is to be part of NATO these days. But we do feel that the borders of Romania are going to come under increasing pressure. We might actually be faced with having a longer border with Russia. if it manages to occupy parts of Ukraine. So then this is, I think, part of the preparations that we're doing together with our allies to fortify the eastern flank.
Right.
Hopefully it's not going to get there if international sanctions work and Russia comes back to reason.
All right. NATO also rejected the idea of a no-fly zone over Ukraine. Now, what options do you think this leaves Ukrainian forces with, and how long do you think they will be able to hold off Russian forces, even with the added military aid offered by the allies?
I think whoever claims to know the answer to that is lying, because this is all really in flux at this point. I think Ukraine has received significant military support from NATO. At the same time, Russia is increasingly cornered. We see companies, private companies, not just states around the world, pressing it and refusing deliveries to Russia, refusing to work in Russia. So hopefully there's this deterrent that's actually wholly peaceful and not of a military nature that might force Russia to honestly enter this negotiation phase. We must not forget that while Russia intensifies its attacks on Ukraine, and that is that makes it extremely difficult for Ukraine forces to hold their ground. At the same time, we have negotiations that seem to show some promising prospect of at least bringing the sides back to the table. And both sides, in all honesty, have an interest in the success of these negotiations. Vladimir Putin, so that he can claim some sort of victory, and Ukraine to reduce damages.
Right. Ms. Anna Popescu, thank you so much for joining us with your analysis of the situation.
Thank you for having me.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.